Amelia's heart raced as she approached the grand estate. The sprawling mansion gleamed under the morning sun, each window reflecting a world she had only ever glimpsed in magazines or on television. For years, she had worked multiple jobs just to make ends meet, but today marked a new beginning, a chance to prove herself in a household where precision, discretion, and poise were expected. Clutching her small bag tightly, Amelia took a deep breath and walked up the marble steps. The front doors opened before she could knock, revealing a man standing tall and composed, holding a set of car keys. He wore a simple, crisp uniform, but there was an undeniable air of authority about him. "Good morning," he said, his voice calm, steady, and unexpectedly deep. "You must be Amelia. Welcome to the estate." "Thank you," she replied, her voice a little shaky as she extended her hand. The man's grip was firm, yet warm, and the gray in his eyes seemed to study her, assessing without judgment. "I'm James," he said with a small, polite smile. "I'll be around to help you get settled in today. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask." Amelia nodded, trying to appear confident. From the very first moment, there was something about James that made her heart flutter, a quiet magnetism she didn't understand yet. He moved with precision, yet he never drew attention to himself, blending seamlessly into the household staff while still carrying an air of subtle command. Her first day was a whirlwind of introductions. She met the cooks, the housekeepers, and the nannies who tended to the children of the estate. Amelia observed the routines, the rules, and the etiquette expected of her, all while sneaking glances at James, who seemed to anticipate every need before anyone even asked. During lunch, he helped her carry a tray of food to the staff room, his fingers brushing hers accidentally. A shiver ran up her spine, and she looked away quickly, feeling an unfamiliar heat rise to her cheeks. Despite the brief contact, she sensed a connection, unspoken yet undeniable. Throughout the day, Amelia noticed how James moved silently through the house, checking on staff, adjusting minor details, and ensuring everything ran smoothly. He didn't seek recognition or praise, but his presence was commanding nonetheless. There was a depth to him, a quiet strength that hinted at something more than a driver's role. By the time Amelia finished her first day, she felt a strange mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. She had navigated a new world, handled challenges gracefully, and yet her thoughts kept returning to James, the polite, mysterious man whose subtle smiles and fleeting gestures had left her heart beating faster than it had in years. As she lay in bed that night, she realized that this job was more than just employment. It was the beginning of something bigger, a journey that might change her life in ways she could never have imagined. And deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that James, the man she thought was just a driver, was going to play a part in that journey far greater than she could foresee. Amelia's second day at the mansion started with the familiar rhythm of preparation and anticipation. She had begun to memorize the sprawling layout. From the grand dining hall to the hidden staircases, only staff seemed to know. Yet even with the new confidence, her attention kept drifting toward James. He arrived promptly, as always, carrying himself with effortless grace. Today, he was guiding a delivery of fresh flowers for the estate, but even in such a simple task, his precision and attention to detail were remarkable. Amelia watched as he arranged the bouquets with meticulous care, noting the way he straightened each stem, ensuring the room radiated elegance without appearing overdone. "Careful," she said quietly, when a vase teetered precariously on the edge of the table. James looked up, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "Don't worry, I've got it," he replied, his tone calm and assured. But there was a spark in his gray eyes when they met hers, and Amelia felt a flutter in her chest. Throughout the morning, she found herself stealing glances at him during small interactions. He seemed to notice things no one else did, an extra napkin on a tray, a misplaced utensil, or a subtle change in a child's mood. There was a quiet authority about him, yet he never imposed himself. Amelia was both intrigued and unsettled by the mystery he presented. During a brief break in the staff room, Amelia shared a laugh with James over a minor mishap in the kitchen, a spilled pot of soup that splashed harmlessly across the counter. Their laughter mingled, light and genuine, and for a moment, the walls between them felt as if they had melted. "You're quite observant," Amelia said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Most people would have ignored the spill entirely." James chuckled softly. "It's the little things that matter," he replied. His gaze lingered on her just long enough for her to notice, sending warmth through her chest. As the day progressed, Amelia began noticing other unusual qualities about James. His knowledge extended beyond typical staff duties. He knew schedules, preferences, and even subtle details about the household finances. Yet he never flaunted this knowledge. Instead, he used it to assist without ever drawing attention to himself, which only added to his enigmatic presence. By evening, Amelia realized she was thinking about James more than anyone else she had met in her life. There was a pull she couldn't explain, a curiosity that went beyond admiration for his competence. Small gestures, a supportive hand, a shared smile, or a quiet word of encouragement had begun weaving themselves into her heart. Lying in bed that night, she replayed the day in her mind. Every glance, every laugh, every subtle gesture seemed to carry hidden meaning. Amelia didn't know why she felt so drawn to him, but she sensed that James, the man she believed was just a driver, was far more significant than she could yet understand. And somewhere deep down, she knew her life at the mansion was only beginning, and that James would play a role far greater than she could imagine. Amelia had always been practical, never one to indulge in idle fantasies. Yet, as the days passed at the mansion, she found herself thinking about James more than she cared to admit. There was something in the way he moved, spoke, and observed the world around him that went far beyond what she expected from a mere driver. It started with small inconsistencies. One afternoon, Amelia noticed him receiving a call on his phone, a call filled with financial jargon and strategic decisions. He spoke confidently, referencing companies and investments she had never heard of. Her curiosity was piqued. A driver wouldn't discuss such matters. Not here, not in this household. Later, she confided in Clara, the head housekeeper, during a quiet moment in the kitchen. "Have you noticed James is different? He's not like anyone else here," she whispered, careful to keep her voice low. Clara chuckled knowingly. "You've noticed? Yes, he's observant, polite, and mysterious. But Amelia, sometimes a person is more than they seem. Be careful, you might be drawn into something bigger than you realize." Amelia smiled, though a little nervously. She couldn't help being intrigued. There was a magnetic quality about him, a pull that made her linger near him during tasks, finding excuses to exchange brief words or catch fleeting eye contact. Over the next few days, she began noticing the subtleties of their interactions. A lingering glance as she handed him a tray, a brush of fingers while passing papers, the quiet way he seemed to anticipate her needs before she spoke. Each moment was small, almost imperceptible, yet they left her heart fluttering and her mind racing. One rainy afternoon, she found herself trapped in the mansion's library while organizing shelves. James appeared quietly, carrying an umbrella. "You'll get soaked if you try to leave now," he said gently. He held the door open, allowing her to pass. Their fingers brushed again, and this time neither of them moved away immediately. The silence between them was filled with unspoken understanding, an intimacy neither had acknowledged but both felt. Amelia's curiosity about him deepened beyond mere attraction. She began wondering why he seemed so knowledgeable, so poised, and so self-assured. It didn't align with the role he had claimed. Every action, every word hinted at a hidden life, a secret that he had carefully guarded. Yet amid the mystery, there was comfort. James was patient, kind, and attentive. He didn't pressure her, nor did he flaunt his abilities. Instead, he allowed moments of connection to form naturally, weaving trust and respect into the fabric of their daily interactions. As she lay in bed that night, Amelia reflected on the subtle tension that had grown between them. She realized that her curiosity was no longer just about his secret. It was about him. The man behind the polite uniform had captured her attention, and with each passing day, she felt herself drawn further into the mystery and allure of James. Little did she know, the world she had stepped into was about to reveal truths that would change her perception of him and her life forever. Amelia had begun to suspect that James was no ordinary driver. Small details kept nagging at her curiosity. The way he handled matters in the household with remarkable precision, his knowledge of schedules and finances, and the subtle air of authority that commanded respect without a word. One rainy evening, she followed him by accident while retrieving a misplaced item from the staff garage. She froze at the sight before her eyes. A sleek, black sports car gleaming under the dim lights, its hood embossed with a gold monogram she recognized from the company logo plastered across local news articles. James noticed her hesitation. "Amelia," he said softly, approaching her with a calm demeanor, "you shouldn't be here." I didn't mean to," she stammered, but the words caught in her throat. Her mind raced. Could it be? Was he really connected to the business world she had only read about? He didn't answer directly. Instead, he smiled faintly, a hint of mischief and mystery in his eyes. "Some things are meant to be discovered over time," he said, leaving her more intrigued than ever. Over the next few days, Amelia couldn't stop thinking about the garage and the car. Each interaction with James carried subtle reminders of his enigmatic life. The gentle brush of his hand as he handed her papers, his careful observation of her mood, the way he seemed to anticipate her every need. All these little things painted a picture far richer than that of a simple driver. Their romantic tension grew alongside her curiosity. A brief accidental touch on the shoulder while guiding her through the house, a shared smile over a minor misunderstanding, even the way he caught her when she stumbled on the wet terrace during a light rainstorm, all contributed to a growing sense of connection. Amelia began noticing things she hadn't before. The way his eyes lingered a moment too long, the subtle concern in his voice when she looked tired, and the gentle encouragement he offered when she struggled with household tasks. There was an intimacy in these moments, unspoken yet powerful, and Amelia found herself looking forward to them more than she wanted to admit. One night, as she organized the study, James entered quietly, carrying a tray of tea. Their hands brushed again while she reached for a cup, and the spark between them was undeniable. Amelia's heart raced, and she realized that her attraction to him had grown into something more, something emotional, magnetic, and inescapable. Yet questions remained. Who was he really? Why had he hidden so much of himself, and what did it mean for the growing connection between them? For the first time, Amelia understood that James was far more than the polite, professional figure she had first met. There was a hidden life beneath his calm exterior, a life that would soon surface, challenging everything she thought she knew and pushing their relationship into uncharted territory. Amelia had never imagined she could feel so comfortable around someone she barely knew. Yet James had a way of drawing her out, of making her feel seen and valued. Their daily interactions had evolved from polite exchanges to conversations filled with subtle warmth, shared laughter, and moments of genuine care. One afternoon, as Amelia struggled to organize the estate's paperwork, James noticed the frustration creeping across her face. Without a word, he knelt beside her and gently guided her hands, showing her a more efficient way to handle the documents. "Sometimes it's not about rushing," he said softly. "It's about understanding the rhythm." Amelia looked up at him, her heart fluttering. There was a calm assurance in his voice, a patience that made her feel safe. "Thank you, James," she murmured, the words carrying more emotion than she intended. Over the next few days, their bond deepened. Amelia found herself confiding in him about struggles she had kept hidden from everyone, her financial worries, her dreams for the future, and the quiet fears that had shadowed her for years. James listened without judgment, offering advice only when asked, and always with a gentle kindness that made her heart ache with longing. Romantic tension grew naturally from these moments. A shared laugh over a minor mishap in the kitchen, a brush of fingers while passing a pen, or a lingering look when their eyes met, all built an intimacy neither of them could ignore. Amelia began noticing the small gestures, how he remembered the smallest details about her preferences, how he anticipated her needs before she spoke, and how his presence seemed to calm the chaos around her. One rainy evening, as they walked through the mansion's gardens, Amelia slipped on a wet stone. James's hand shot out instinctively, steadying her. Their eyes locked, and the moment stretched long and intimate. Her breath hitched as she realized how much she had come to rely on him, not just for support in tasks, but for comfort, for understanding, and for a sense of belonging she had never felt before. I don't know why I feel so connected to you," Amelia admitted quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. James's gaze softened, his hand lingering a fraction longer than necessary. "Some connections aren't about logic," he said. "They're about recognizing something in the other person that resonates with you, and I feel it too, Amelia." For the first time, Amelia allowed herself to imagine what it might be like to be close to him, not as a professional acquaintance, but as someone who mattered deeply. The line between admiration, curiosity, and affection began to blur, and she knew that whatever James's true identity, he had already claimed a place in her heart. As she lay in bed that night, replaying their conversations and interactions, Amelia felt a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. The emotional bond she shared with James had grown stronger than any mystery she had tried to solve, and it was only a matter of time before the truth would surface, challenging the depth of their connection and the feelings that had begun to bloom. Amelia had grown more comfortable around James, yet the sense of mystery surrounding him had never fully dissipated. There was always something he didn't reveal, something carefully tucked beneath his calm exterior. And one rainy afternoon, that mystery began to unravel, just enough to leave her breathless with curiosity. She had been organizing the mansion's study when a vase slipped from the edge of the desk. Before she could react, James was there, steadying her with a firm yet gentle grip. "Careful," he said, his gray eyes scanning the room as if evaluating every detail at once. Amelia caught herself staring at him. There was an intensity in his gaze, a subtle authority that seemed almost regal. You always know what to do," she whispered, half in admiration and half in wonder. James smiled faintly. "I pay attention. It helps to understand the space you're in, the people around you, and the situations that arise." His words seemed simple, but Amelia noticed the depth behind them, the knowledge of someone who had been trained to anticipate, to manage, to control. A driver didn't speak or act like this. Later, while carrying out her duties in the library, Amelia noticed James handling a series of documents with ease. They were detailed financial reports, investment plans, and correspondence with high-profile clients. She froze, realizing that his understanding of these matters went far beyond what she had imagined. "James, this isn't just routine work, is it?" she asked, her voice tinged with awe and disbelief. He paused for a moment, his expression unreadable. "Some things," he said softly, "are meant to be discovered in time. Knowing too much too soon can change everything." Amelia's heart pounded. She wanted to ask more, to demand answers, yet a part of her trusted his judgment. He had never deceived her with malice. Instead, he had allowed their bond to grow organically, letting her see the man behind the exterior in her own time. Their interactions that day were charged with an unspoken tension. Every glance, every accidental touch, and every shared smile carried weight. The intimacy between them deepened, not just through romance, but through the unspoken understanding that there was more to him than met the eye. As evening fell, James offered her a cup of tea in the quiet library. Their hands brushed once more, lingering just a second too long. Amelia felt the electricity of the moment, a mix of attraction, admiration, and the pull of the mystery that surrounded him. "Amelia," James said quietly, his voice gentle, "sometimes what you see is only a fraction of the truth. Patience reveals the rest." She nodded, heart racing, understanding both the warning and the promise in his words. Amelia realized that her curiosity was no longer merely about who he was professionally. It was about discovering the man himself. And in that quiet, intimate space, she felt the undeniable pull of something deeper, a connection that promised romance, trust, and a truth that was yet to fully unfold. It was a hectic morning at the mansion. Amelia had been running from room to room, trying to manage the staff schedules, oversee deliveries, and ensure the children were ready for school. She was exhausted, her mind spinning with minor mishaps that seemed to pile up faster than she could handle. James appeared beside her, calm and composed as always. But today there was a subtle shift in his demeanor. A phone rang urgently, and without hesitation he answered. Amelia froze as she listened from a distance. His voice was confident, commanding, and filled with authority she had never heard before. The conversation was not about the mansion's daily chores. It was about board meetings, investments, and major business decisions. Her heart raced. The truth she had been sensing but could never fully grasp was now undeniable. James was no ordinary driver. Before she could confront him, he ended the call and approached her. "Amelia," he said gently, seeing the shock on her face, "there's something I need to tell you." She felt her chest tighten. "James, I think I already know." He nodded slowly, his gray eyes earnest and calm. "Yes, I'm not merely a driver. I am the CEO of the company that owns this estate and much more. I wanted you to know me as a person first, Amelia, not as a title, not as wealth or power." Amelia's mind raced. Shock, disbelief, and even a sense of betrayal flooded her. She had been drawn to this man under one assumption, only to find the reality far more complex and intimidating. Yet beneath the surprise, a part of her felt admiration. The thoughtfulness behind his secrecy, the way he had allowed her to see him without bias, spoke volumes about his character. You did all this for me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. James took a step closer, his expression gentle but sincere. "I wanted you to choose me for who I am, Amelia, not for my money or influence. I wanted our connection to be real." Tears pricked at her eyes, a mix of emotion she couldn't fully name. Part of her wanted to feel hurt, to turn away, but another part recognized the honesty, care, and depth of feeling he had shown from the beginning. She looked at him, really looked, seeing the same man she had grown to trust and admire, the man who had held her hand when she stumbled, laughed with her over minor mishaps, and offered comfort without judgment. Nothing about his wealth or status diminished the moments they had shared. Slowly she reached out, her hand brushing against his. I think I understand," she murmured. "You wanted me to know you truly." James's lips curved into a soft smile. "Exactly. And now, if you'll allow it, I hope we can continue this journey together, honestly, openly, and without any masks." Amelia felt her heart swell. The shock had passed, leaving only the realization that their connection was real, genuine, and far deeper than appearances or titles. For the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a future with him, a life built on trust, affection, and a love that transcended wealth, status, and expectation. The revelation of James's true identity had changed everything, and yet Amelia found herself struggling with mixed emotions. She admired him, certainly, but the sense of betrayal lingered. He had kept this secret for so long, and though his reasons were understandable, she couldn't help feeling uncertain about what it all meant for their connection. The mansion felt different now. Every glance, every gesture carried a weight she hadn't anticipated. Even routine tasks seemed layered with tension. Amelia caught herself overanalyzing each interaction, wondering if he was still the same man she had grown to trust, or if his wealth and status would alter the dynamics between them. James, sensing her unease, approached her gently one afternoon. "Amelia," he said quietly, "I know this is a lot to process. I never wanted to hurt you. I just wanted you to know me for who I truly am." I need some time," she admitted, looking away. Her chest felt heavy, torn between the feelings she couldn't deny and the shock she still grappled with. Over the next few days, Amelia maintained her distance. She focused on her duties, avoiding moments alone with him whenever possible, though it was difficult in the sprawling mansion where paths crossed constantly. James respected her space but remained present, always near enough to offer quiet support without pressuring her. The external world added further challenges. Gossip among staff and the subtle judgment of high society acquaintances began to weigh on Amelia. Some whispered about her role in the household, questioning whether her feelings were genuine or influenced by James's wealth. Meanwhile, jealous colleagues attempted minor sabotage, testing her patience and resolve. Despite the tension, James found ways to reassure her without breaking her boundaries. He left small gestures, a cup of tea in the staff room, a handwritten note of encouragement, a shared laugh over a minor mishap. Each act reminded her of the connection they had formed, the trust that had grown, and the deepening romantic pull she could no longer ignore. One evening, as the rain fell softly outside, Amelia sat alone in the library, reflecting on the past weeks. The emotional turmoil was exhausting, but beneath it all, her feelings for James remained steadfast. She realized that the bond they shared had grown stronger than any revelation or challenge, and that her heart had already made a choice, even if her mind wrestled with uncertainty. James appeared quietly, offering her a reassuring smile. "Take your time," he said softly. "I'll be here when you're ready." Amelia looked at him, her chest tightening with a mixture of longing and frustration. She wanted to reach out to close the distance, but she needed to reconcile her feelings first. And yet, even in her hesitation, she knew that this connection, the emotional depth, the unspoken understanding, and the undeniable romantic tension, was worth navigating. By the time she retired for the night, Amelia had made a silent vow to face her feelings honestly, to overcome her doubts, and to embrace the possibility of love with James, even if the path was uncertain. Amelia spent the following days reflecting on everything: her initial curiosity about James, the small gestures of care, the laughter they shared, and the way he had always anticipated her needs. Each memory was a reminder of the depth of their connection, and she began to realize that her feelings went far beyond admiration or intrigue. One afternoon, she found herself in the mansion's garden arranging flowers for the dining hall. James approached quietly, carrying a small stack of freshly pressed linens. He paused beside her, giving her a warm, patient smile. "Amelia," he said softly, "I understand that it's been overwhelming, but I hope you know every choice I made was with respect for you and your feelings." She looked up, meeting his eyes, and saw sincerity reflected in them. In that moment, she understood that everything, the secrecy, the careful observation, the patience, was not about control or pride, but about protecting the bond they shared. "I do see that now," she admitted, her voice tinged with vulnerability. "And I realize that my feelings for you haven't changed. If anything, they've grown stronger." James's smile broadened, and he offered a reassuring hand. Amelia hesitated for a heartbeat, then placed her hand in his. The gesture was simple, yet it carried the weight of trust, understanding, and the quiet acknowledgement of love blossoming between them. Over the next few days, their interactions became more natural and open. Amelia allowed herself to enjoy his company without second-guessing his intentions, and James continued to demonstrate his care through both words and actions. He remembered her favorite tea, anticipated her work challenges, and offered encouragement with a gentle, patient demeanor. Romantic moments began to flourish. A shared laugh over spilled juice in the kitchen, a lingering touch when passing a document, and quiet conversations in the garden all strengthened the bond that had been growing for weeks. Their connection was no longer just emotional. It was tender, intimate, and undeniably romantic. Amelia realized that love was not about grand gestures or dramatic declarations alone. It was in the quiet support, the understanding glances, the shared laughter, and the small acts of kindness that built a foundation stronger than any wealth or status. One evening, as the sun set over the estate, painting the sky with shades of gold and pink, James approached Amelia with a soft smile. "I hope you know, Amelia, that whatever challenges come our way, I'm here for you, always." Tears pricked her eyes, but this time they were tears of relief and happiness. She reached for his hand, holding it firmly. "And I'm here for you too," she whispered. In that moment, the uncertainty and tension that had clouded their relationship melted away. Amelia understood that their bond was real, built on trust, care, and the undeniable pull of love. The journey had been challenging, but the growth they had achieved individually and together made the connection unbreakable. They stood together in the fading light, hands entwined, hearts aligned, ready to embrace the future, knowing that whatever came next, they would face it side by side. The mansion was quiet that evening, the soft glow of the chandeliers reflecting off polished floors and ornate furniture. Amelia walked through the halls, her heart light, yet filled with anticipation. She had spent days processing her feelings, and now, finally, there was a sense of clarity. She no longer felt conflicted about James or his hidden identity. James appeared at the end of the hallway, his presence calm yet commanding. His gray eyes met hers, and in that single glance, Amelia felt the weight of the unspoken words between them. The tension that had simmered for weeks transformed into a palpable warmth, a promise of connection, honesty, and love. "I've been waiting to find the right moment," James said softly, stepping closer. "To tell you, to show you that what I feel for you isn't just admiration or friendship, it's far deeper than that." Amelia's breath caught. "James," she began, her voice trembling with emotion, "I feel the same. I've felt it for a long time, but I needed to understand, to see your heart beyond the man I thought I knew." A smile tugged at his lips, filled with relief and tenderness. He reached for her hand, holding it gently in his. "Amelia, you've seen me at my best and my worst. You've understood me in ways no one else could. I love you not for my wealth, not for my status, but for the person you are." Tears welled up in Amelia's eyes, but they were tears of joy. She stepped closer, letting her hand rest over his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "And I love you, James," she whispered, "for your kindness, your patience, and for being you." In that moment, the world around them seemed to fade. The mansion, the staff, the outside expectations, all became irrelevant. It was just the two of them, bound by trust, affection, and the undeniable pull of romance that had grown over weeks of shared moments, quiet conversations, and subtle touches. James gently pulled her into an embrace, their foreheads resting together. The warmth between them was more than physical. It was emotional, spiritual, and unbreakable. They had navigated secrecy, doubt, and misunderstanding, and now their hearts were aligned in harmony. "Whatever challenges come next," James murmured, "we will face them together." Amelia smiled, her heart soaring. "Together," she echoed, feeling the final piece of uncertainty dissolve. They spent the evening walking through the gardens, talking, laughing, and sharing quiet kisses beneath the glow of the moon. The mansion, once a place of mystery and hierarchy, had transformed into a sanctuary of love and connection. By the night's end, Amelia realized that this journey, through curiosity, tension, revelation, and emotional growth, had brought them to a love that was profound, enduring, and real. Their bond, tested and strengthened through trials, had emerged victorious. As they stood hand in hand, gazing at the stars above, Amelia knew that she had found more than a job, more than excitement, more than curiosity. She had found a love that would last a lifetime. And James, the man behind the mask, had finally allowed both their hearts to be free.